What would be your advice for parents going on holidays with young children?
Traveling with kids, right? It's unlike like traveling as a couple where you can say, oh, day one I will go to this place, that place. We will wake him up really early in the morning, the day on the flight, and then we won't let him sleep. We will play with him, we'll talk to him, and so he gets really, really tired.
Welcome to Everyday Parenting, a down to earth podcast presented by Bricks and Blocks Coaching. Tune in as we dive into the real life experiences of parents. Today, in our studio, we have two wonderful parents. We have Carey Chong. She is a leader in the e commerce industry. She has a baby boy, and she's here to share her adventures with her son. We have Bruce, a new father of a beautiful girl. He's a global marketing leader in reputed MNCs in Singapore. He's moved from Korea to Singapore quite a while back and made Singapore his home. He's here to share his experiences of traveling with his baby girl. Hi, Carey. Hi, Bruce.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Carey, would you like to introduce yourself as a parent?
Oh, yes. I have a baby boy. His name is Jaden, and he's 1 year and 7 months today.
Bruce, how about your girl?
Yeah, so I have a baby girl. She's 18 months. Her name is Saya, and she's a Korean too. Living in Singapore. She's born in Singapore, lived all the way in Singapore.
Okay. So, while we were discussing earlier, we were looking at sharing your experiences of going on holidays with your infants, right? So, tell us some memorable experiences you have of going on a holiday with your child.
Well, I think my son has traveled quite a bit, considering he's less than 2 years old. He has been to China, to Malaysia, to Korea, Taiwan, and we are also bringing him to another trip upcoming in next week to Japan.
How about you, Bruce? Have you traveled with Saya?
Yeah, Sarah haven't traveled that much. She traveled to Korea once. That was her first and last international travel. And then we did one staycation in Singapore at Sentosa. And we're planning to go to Bali in sometime in June. And we're still in the planning stage right now.
Okay. So why just, there's such a huge variation between the number of trips that Carey has gone and you have taken very less travel. Any particular reasons as to why you haven't traveled much with your baby girl?
I think the first travel that we went to Korea, it wasn't that easy. So I think that we're just trying to take some time where Saya will become a bit bigger and we think that it'll be easier to travel. I don't know, we haven't been that adventurous so far after that first trip.
Okay. What happened? What are the challenges that you faced?
I think at that time, we were staying in Korea for about 2 weeks. She was at 11 months. So she was still on formula, breastfeeding, and we had to make our own food. So all that combination, there was a lot of equipment that we had to bring. We were staying in my in-laws, where not all the equipment is exactly same as at home. So we had to do a lot of stuff by our own hands, me and my wife. And when we were in Singapore, we have a helper, a full-time helper. But when we were moving into Korea, actually there was not much help. So some things like looking after a baby for the entire day was like me and my wife's first experience ever. I don't know, it was a bit challenging. It really took a lot of energy and we were not able to enjoy the trip that much. It was really meaning staying at home and looking after Saya the entire day. But overall, like just making food, sanitizing the formula bottles, bathing, cleaning clothes, like it was just doing dishwashing. There's just really a lot of things to take care of.
Must have been very different from traveling as a couple, right?
Right.
Carey, how do you manage so many holidays with your Jaden?
Yeah, actually, Jaden, he started really young. He started probably at 6 months. The first ever trip out of Singapore was actually on a cruise ship. So we went to the RWS cruise. So basically, I think when traveling with kids, a lot of things needs to, we need to be a bit easier on ourselves also. Like, for example, I understand, there's all this about, sanitizing the bottles, blah, blah, blah. Actually, I just found, easier solution out, which I just, bring a little like, foldable pail, and then I just threw in the pigeon sterilizing tablets, and then I soak all the milk bottles inside overnight. So there are like things like that that I do like go and like research before the trip. Like in terms of like all the food and everything, actually I was quite lost also because he was starting on solids, right? I have a support group with like a few like moms of a few kids. Actually, there's instant porridges, so we just bought the instant one, and then of course, there's like fear, right, whether he likes it or not. But we think like, okay, he will survive, eating a bit less over a few days, so it's fine. So we just like lower expectations, like just take it a bit chill, and that's how we go on a trip. But there's also one thing that I can't compromise. Basically, is when he falls sick, right? So what I do is actually I consulted the online doctor, tell them that I'm going on a trip, and ask them to prepare medications of like whatever possible scenarios for you. And indeed, when I went to Korea last year December, he actually felt very ill. So he was shivering in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. So we went to the nearest hospital, which of course, we prepared right before the trip. We know where's the nearest one to the hotel. We rushed him there, and he was burning fever at like 39, almost close to 40 degrees, with a bit of flu, So, yeah, we went there, we saw the doctor, and luckily, she said it's just like some common fever. Yeah, I think apart from that, when he falls sick, yeah, the pretty much the rest, we'll just take it that, okay, it's a few days, you'll be fine, yeah.
It must be quite scary for having a child fall sick in an unknown country, where you don't even know the language and you don't even know the healthcare facilities there, right? Sorry, Bruce, you are from Korea, but then, for us, Korea is new, right? So, did that cut your trip short, or did that have any breaks in your holiday plans?
It didn't cut our trip short because actually, with a minus 16 degrees in December, we kind of expected our son would somehow be uncomfortable or sick, right? Traveling with kids, right, it's unlike like traveling as a couple where, you can say, oh, day one, I will go to this place, that place. It's more like, you just have to go with the flow, right? In the morning, if he's fussy or if he takes like super long to get, showered, to dress up, or like he doesn't want to drink his milk, or he doesn't want to eat his porridge, then we'll be delayed by 1 or 2 hours. Then maybe we'll say, okay, let's just do half the itinerary today, and then the next day we'll roll it over. Yeah, so that's how we kind of maintain a more relaxed psychology when it comes to traveling. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's really wonderful, sharing your experiences and some tips that I do here, right? So it's more like preparing to travel with the kid, like ensure that you have the important necessities packed down in your bags, and having his medicines in the bag. I would strongly advise that. Even I also carry like a small medical kit for my kids when I am traveling. Bruce, so what is it that you're picking up from Carrie's conversations, and is that inspiring you to travel, or is that scaring you even more?
Actually, yeah, I was taking some notes, and there's quite a lot of things that I noted down. I think the first tip, that being a bit easier to ourselves. Like when you travel, you cannot expect everything to be perfect. The other part that I also see a difference is that for us, the trip to Korea was not really a trip. It was to show our daughter to our parents. So we didn't stay in a hotel. There was no itinerary. It was just like we brought our daughter to our in-laws' house. I think what inspired me is that instead of going to home or going to in-laws, maybe go to a true trip, stay in a hotel, like visit some places. At least there will be a benefit of that trip, because going in Korea was just a bit different. So I think I got to be a bit more adventurous.
What did you learn from the trip as a parent, as a person? What is it that you learned from your back home Korea trip?
Time is very precious. Like I didn't really have much time to spend myself. Like I wasn't able, like in the past, if I went to Korea, I'll be hanging out with a lot of friends, meet a lot of friends, even meeting my parents more often. But this time it was very limiting. Everything was surrounded around Seya. So I was not even able to meet a lot of friends. I even only saw my parents 2 times during 2 weeks. So it was quite challenging, yeah.
Okay, so that must have been a different experience, right? Carrie,
That was really different. Yeah.
Carrie, so from your adventures, it truly seems to be like an adventure, right? The number of trips and the kind of experiences that you've had. What did you learn about yourself as a parent?
At home, right? Like me and my husband, we didn't have like a true like role segregation between like what we do for the kid, right? So he's the more patient one, he can handle the baby. So usually he would does like, looking at the baby, and then while I will go and do all the like bottle washing, I will do all the cooking and all those kind of things. So I think that make us realize, right, like what we are more better with the kid at. And then I think the other thing is that, when previously when I travel alone or with my husband, it's more like, you realize, oh, you have a kid in the airplane. And then, I mean, as much as we try to tolerate, sometimes we don't really know the struggles of the parent until I bring my son to the plane. Like I had a huge bag of toys, I had his pacifier, I had his milk, I didn't let him sleep like a few hours before the flight so that he'll fall asleep on the flight. And I'll tell you, the whole trip of carrying him and like, soothing him it's quite a nightmare, honestly. So we don't enjoy the flight part of the trip, but it makes us understand, the struggles of like other parents, when we didn't have a kid, we never understood, right? So it made me a lot more understanding to to everyone in general, which, only when you are in that situation that you will realize that, hey, it's not easy.
So, is it worth being a parent?
No, I think it's fun. I mean, though there are struggles every day, but there are little milestones that he hits, and then it gives you like a big sense of satisfaction, right?
Bruce, is it worth being a parent?
Yeah, definitely it is. It's definitely challenging. And it's different as living just as a single, without children, parents. There's a lot of things that you get back from your baby. I think showing our Saya to our parents, that was like a moment where they really liked, and it was just like that kind of bonding that you have with the family that you'll feel. And without a child, you won't have that kind of feeling. So yeah, definitely worth it.
So, any last thoughts from your side on going on holidays? What would be your advice for parents going on holidays with young children?
So there are a few things I learned, right? The first trip we were like noobs, right? So we kept everything in the overhead compartment, thinking that, hey, probably we can't use anything. We can't have anything on our laps when the flight is taking off. But that's not true. So the second trip I actually learned, right? So I actually, had all the pacifier, his milk, his toys, all like tucked behind my bag. When the plane is taking off, there will be this air pressure on the ears, right? So it's really, really important that you feed your baby either some milk or give him a pacifier and ensure that he keeps sucking on it. And also, I know that there are a lot of parents with a strict sleeping, waking schedule for the baby. I think the easiest way for me actually is to just let him be awake past his napping or sleeping time, right? So we will wake him up really early in the morning, the day on the flight, and then we won't let him sleep. We will play with him, we'll talk to him, and so he gets really, really tired. And that's how we survive. He was able to sleep like for at least 3-4 hours, so that at least we could relax a bit, we could rest a bit. If not, I think for long flights it's really, really very tough on parents because the kid will start kicking the chair in front. I think probably the flight part is the scariest, and once you get through that, you enjoy your holiday, I'm sure you.
Bruce, any advice you
Yeah.
would like to give parents?
While we were in Korea, we were learning a lot of stuff by ourselves, but we also realized that we were making our food, and making the food was the most challenging part. My wife found a food solution. It was like a food delivery service. So they deliver food every day in the morning, and it's fresh food, freshly made, and it's it's kind of a healthy type of food. After that, that was like a lifesaver. So I think that there's quite a lot of solutions out there. So do some research. It can really make the trip easier. Also, one other tip is that, because me and my wife, we really didn't have much energy to do a lot of things, but we said that let's at least do one thing a day, and let's bring Saya outside, let's bring her to a new place. And just trying to do one new thing a day was really, it was pretty good relief. It helped us to get outside, to plan something at least for one day. And if you go outside, at least half of the day is gone. So that's a good way to get the time going when it's pretty stressful. So be adventurous, try something new.
Hey guys, so this was a good podcast. We are coming to the end of it. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences. I hope our audience also learned something from their adventurous experiences on holidays. Thank you so much, Carey and Bruce. See you next time. Bye bye.
Thank you for having us, Rita.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Take care.
Before we wrap up, don't forget to subscribe and share our content with other parents. We'd love to hear your stories, so reach out to us at bricksandblockscoaching.com. Thank you for tuning in today. I'm Shweta, a parent coach, and this is Everyday Parenting. See you next time.